'cause I love you in every way. I love you in every way. I don't know why. Oh, why? I don't know why. Oh, why?
Woman, you need to be waiting and drive a fast car. Come in and go left the out and we are come from far. You remember when we only have one hour shirt and you muggle with me in your tight up skirt. As long as me there from Mars and the earth, me now forget where me a come from. Me now go dish your dirt.
I'll keep on loving you.
Always.
I don't know why. Oh, why? I don't know why. Oh, why?
As I am moves and you look like a big snap of victory.
Listen, I did start to record a video and I thought, why do a video when I can jump on live? Oh, look. Hi, Sue. I'm just going to play some sweet reggae music for a little bit and then I'll get talking.
Baby, I know what's going on. I know the scores. I know.
Right, hold on. Let me show you what I'm talking about today. Hold on.
Baby,
Look.
I know what's going on. And I see you on the street looking neat. Girl, you look so sweet. So sweet. When I see that neon light shining bright, when you're out of sight,
The podcast is coming, Jenny. It's coming.
The way you pass me by, oh yeah.
Response to.
I know the scores.
Hello.
I know the roads. Baby, I know what's going on. I know the scores. I know the roads.
Don't worry, you can. It's always on replay, so you can always find my stuff on YouTube. Don't you worry about that. You ain't missing anything. Thank you. We just need a bit of a chill out vibe. Just need a minute before I'm just going to get into say the things that I've got to say. Hello. I know them. I know. Baby, I know what's going on. Right, anyway. I'll play some music at the end because otherwise, you know what I'm like. I'll be here like 3 minutes. 3 minutes later, you'll just see me like bopping my head. So thank you for tuning in. That was very lucky that I just decided to go live and like there you were. You will have to excuse this thing in the background here. Right. I bought one of these, these desks that you can put on top of a desk. That means you can make it go higher and lower. All very well. Didn't realize the size of it. So I'm not even sure if this IKEA desk I have is going to cope with it. I'm sure it will, but there's a massive crack through it. I won't tell you how much this desk is. It's not cheap. So I was ready to go and upload my new area so I can stand up and do some stuff. And now it's not happening. So there it is, lying comatose on the floor. So yes, this is no other HR conversation. Welcome. So what I wanted to, I'll just give you some context of why I wanted to talk about the unemployment rates of young Black people in the UK. I have literally, like 20 minutes or so ago, come off a panel that I did with, it's a private members club in London, Soho, but a private members club with soul. They're the House of St. Barnabas, and they're also a private members club, but they were originally a homeless charity, and that's still what they do. So they help people transitioning into long-term employment. There's a long, fabulous story about how they turned into a private members club. But Rosie, the CEO, asked me to come and join this panel, and we were talking about what does good work look like in kind of a post-COVID era, even though technically we're still in it, but you know what I mean. Now, this panel has been booked in for ages. So we did it today, and it just so happened it coincided with some research that's come out about how the pandemic has affected employment. Now, in the UK, young Black people, and I think the age range of what we call young is 18 to 30 years old. So the unemployment rate is said to be 35%. In comparison to, I think it's 25% for Asian young people and 13% for white people or white young people. Now, the reason why I think I wanted to talk about this is probably twofold. Well, there's three, but I'm going to discount the first reason. So one, this isn't to get into, and there you go, UK government. So when you said there's no such thing as structural racism, here is more proof. Let's just put that on the table. So I'm not going to do that because you know what, I told you so's have been long, so we don't even need to get into that. Now, what some people don't realize is prior to me doing all of this good stuff, I actually did have proper jobs. I know you'd never believe it. Proper jobs in HR. Yes, I did. And I've worked in hospitality and leisure for a number of years. So it's an industry that I know very well. Now, hospitality and leisure in the UK, I don't know what the stats look like in other countries, but that industry is a big employer of what we would term ethnic minority individuals, global majority individuals. But it's the traditional story, right? So they are in frontline operation roles. So COVID-19, as we know, has not only disproportionately impacted our community and what I call our extended community, so other minoritized communities, in terms of kind of death rates, but also employment prospects. So this report coming out to say these are what the numbers are: 35% unemployment rate for young Black people in comparison to other ethnicities. So there is work to be done. Now, because I know hospitality very well, what I can say to you, and it is a criticism that I'm going to leverage quite broadly. Some people will say, well, Shreen, it's a generalization. And I can say, well, I was in it, for a number of years. And the collective silence of the industry over the last year on the back of Black Lives Matter, on the back of all the protests that then, swept the world, right, was duly noted. I had a number of conversations with people who are in the industry and on the periphery, like their partners, their suppliers, their vendors. So they've had a year of not saying too much because they've been campaigning for restrictions to be lifted and all of this stuff. But where we've got to now in 2021 is as we start to reopen. So at the moment in the UK, they can only, the hospitality and leisure industries like gyms and stuff can open. But if you're serving food or drink, you can only open if you've got outdoor space. And then next month, everybody's meant to be able to open. So one of the things that I talked about in this panel that was by my fellow panelists, which we kind of all recognized and echoed the same principle, is this idea of good work is actually really linked to what a sustainable business, sustainable establishment looks like, specifically in hospitality and leisure. And one of the things that I mentioned is I believe there is going to be changing expectations from employees. This is not a skin color thing now for a minute. This is just everybody. A changing expectation from employees, because if you've been working in a company, a restaurant, a hotel, a bar, whatever, where there were questionable practices in relation to racism, racial discrimination, any discrimination of any sort, to be fair, let's lump it all in for this purpose, and you've been furloughed. So you've had time away from the business. And in that time, you've seen what's been unfolding in the rest of the world. You've had an opportunity to reflect and think about what you want to do with your life, what's important to you. You've had a chance to realign your values. And this is not a generational thing. This is, everybody has done this in different guises. Now, if you're going to come back, somebody's called you up and said, listen, you're coming off furlough, you're coming back into the office, so to speak, coming back to work. And you already know things weren't great before you left. I'm not saying this collectively. I'm just saying, if this was the situation, you knew things weren't great before COVID-19. They want you to come back, right? If you're a Black colleague, a young person between the ages of 18 and 13, so you already had question marks, questionable practices, but you didn't say anything. Then all of this stuff has happened on the back of the murder of George Floyd. And now, you know, we're getting into what's still the nonsense that's still happening to this day. If your establishment has not said anything, even in this time, what are you going back for? That's point one. So that's a change in expectations. But the other thing is, our young Black people are also more vulnerable. So because there's a tighter concentration of them in predominantly frontline operations, when these establishments close, guess who's going to be first on the chopping block? It's going to be them. And if said organisation, said business, said establishment has not addressed some of the behavioural and the structural barriers that impact progress, that impact career advancement, fill in the blanks, they've also not done anything to address some of the practices which could be seen as racist or racial discrimination. They've also not been thinking about the policies they put in to protect their workforce from racism and racist abuse from customers, because anybody who works in hospitality, let me tell you, there's some horrible stories, you know, and it's unfortunately, we still have that old adage, the customer is always right. So when those colleagues are victims of it, very few organizations take the side of the colleague. You know, they brush it under the carpet. The poor colleague is traumatized, still expected to carry on with their shifts, still expected to turn up to work next day. The customer, if they're lucky, gets banned. You know, as it is, they get a little telling off and they're free to carry on drinking their pints. So there is so many different things at play here. And I guess my overarching point with this is that irrespective of whether or not which side of the fence that you're on with the government and their bloody race disparities report, we cannot deny the impact of COVID-19 from a health perspective, but we also cannot sweep under the carpet the impact on employment. So I am using my platform, as you know I like to do, to bring my perspectives here, is to say, even if you've done nothing or very little, you know, other than like the black square and all of that jazz, you can't continue to do nothing when there's so many things that are bringing this into sharp focus. So if you do nothing, that's you clinging on to ignorance, and therefore you're making a deliberate decision. And what I will also say is this is not just about, you know, diversity and inclusion in the traditional sense. So, you know, before my fellow HR peers go, yes, well, we're doing plenty about diversity and inclusion, my counter argument is, what are you doing about racism? What are you doing to eradicate those structural barriers, particularly for vulnerable young people, full stop, right, who are going to be treated unfairly or racially abused, or even, because this is also a thing in the hospitality industry, sexually assaulted, right? There's all sorts of misappropriation of power that is used, and this is all swept under the carpet. And we are now in this space where people expect differently, you know? And if you're thinking about, okay, well, we're going to demonstrate that we are an organization, a company who embraces what I call good work, you know, living wage, you're going to treat people fairly, breaks, you're thinking about hours and how you do contracts, no 0-hour contracts, and you're just thinking about how that works. And I get there are business levers that you have to think about. So everything is a balancing act. But I guess what I'm saying is we cannot continue to ignore it. And I am, well, I'm going to say chastising. I'm doing more than that. I'm telling off the hospitality industry as a whole, because there are, and I could pinpoint a number of people. Do you know what I mean? So I'm not going to, but I could do. And I can also go to the partners, suppliers, and the vendors to say, you did not a lot either. And I know that because we talked, right? I'm not going to do that. What I'm saying is, if we're going to draw a line in the sand, now let's not try and pretend that this is not an issue and that this does not need some sort of concentration of effort, of time, of resources, or even conversation. You know, there are so many of these hospitality businesses that try to talk to me you know, months ago. And then when it all felt like it was a little bit too complicated, a little bit too much, the tide was turning, they abandoned it. So now here we are, you know, young Black people, unemployment rates of 35%. Okay, now if other ethnicities had also high unemployment rates. I would say we got to wrap our arms around everybody and off we go. But how is it we can have black people at 35% and white people at 13%? How is that? If there are not structural or behavioural barriers, both of those two things that are impeding progress. So I'm not here to convince anybody that they should do something. I am trying to basically say you're going to have no choice. And if you do decide to continue to do nothing, if you're a vendor, if you're a partner, if you're a supplier that doesn't use your influence to try and be part of the solution, then you're making a deliberate choice there. So, you know, that's me, my little soapbox. And I started recording a video. I did very well, like 3 minutes in, and then I completely gobbled all my words. And then I was like, right, let me go and edit this. And I thought, bloody hell, I ain't got all day bloody editing this. So let me quickly jump on, say my little soliloquy, play some reggae music, because I feel like we all need it. You know, all this stuff playing out in the States has really messed with my vibes over the last few days. And then I'm still recovering from the government's report and all of that stuff. So I just thought, you know what, let me just come on, let me talk to my friends, and but also have a very serious point about this. So that's my soliloquy for now. And I thought, right now, I can go and have a look at your comments, and you can tell me what you're thinking about this. I saw lots of stuff flashing, so I'm now going to turn my eyeballs down here and see what we've got going on. So thank you for listening. I'm not going anywhere, but you know I'm just going to go a bit quiet now. So let me just do this. Maybe I'll play a bit of music. Shall I carry on playing my little sweet reggae music? Let me do that while I listen to the comments, and then I can turn it up and down.
Yes, I'm missing you.
Right, let's see what we got going on. What we got going on?
Talk to you, but it's not the same.
Oh my goodness, so much real talk here. Right. Absolutely. Absolutely. Poor work conditions, poor pay. You know, I'm not saying there's no upsides to working in hospitality, but you know, let's not get it twisted. It's not an easy job. I couldn't do it. Honestly, I really couldn't do it. Right, who's this? Who said that? Right. T, thank you. I know you always come with some really good nuggets here. The thing about this, when you understand structurally where black people sit within an organisation, and you know I've said this before, is that what happens is if you have a large concentration of black people in frontline operational roles, as also depicted by their rank, right? So entry level, next level up, or unskilled, if we want to, you know, use that phrase, is when it is time to be furloughing people, etc., etc., it starts at the triangle, because organisations will always try and keep the people at the top. Now, as we know, particularly in the UK, the majority of people at the top are white people. So guess who gets to mostly be home on full pay, quasi full pay, half pay, and all of that good stuff? It's white people. So all the other colleagues are either, as you said, T, they're unemployed, you know, or they're just told I can't keep you on. And some of them can't even be furloughed, you know, because the business is really kiboshed. And so we can't ignore that structural difference. It's like glaring. And I'm not going to allow it to be swept under the carpet either. Do you know what I mean? I know there's some of my previous employers are hoping and praying I don't sing like a canary and say say anything specific. But this is a challenge for the whole industry. I'm not picking out people in particular. I'm just saying they got to fix up. They've got to fix up with this, you know. What's this here? Yes, Sandra. Yeah. Listen, I'm not playing, because you know what I've noticed as well, and to anybody, come and correct me if you've noticed this as well. I actually feel like people have forgotten that I've literally, and there's many others, it's not just me, there's many of us singing like canaries every day and going, right, what are we doing about racism? What are we doing about structural racism? What are we doing about these bits and pieces? And I'm seeing like a creeping back up of diversity and inclusion talk. Do you know what I mean? So I want to know what's going on. Like racism, can we get back to the focus? Like where is this? And and we need to remember the importance of belonging. Well, you don't belong anywhere if you're racially discriminated against. Anyway, let's not even get me wound up about that one. What's this? No, there's been nothing. And I have to take some responsibility for that as well, because even me as like a senior HR person, I was not thinking through the racism and the racial equity lens, partly because I was like trying to protect my own bloody skin. I'm not proud of it, so I'm being very honest, so I wasn't even thinking. And any time I did, I mean, listen, I can tell you this story because I'm not mentioning any names. I remember saying to a very senior person in one organization, I'm not going to say who, one organization, about diversity and inclusion, right? This is when everyone was on that bandwagon. And I said, I think we should start to do something more overtly about this because it is an issue and blah, blah. I wasn't even talking about racism. I didn't even use the word racism. And this person said to me, I'm not anti-diversity and inclusion, but I don't believe we should do anything separate because all people are treated the same. So the second we start doing anything different, we're treating people differently. And I don't agree with that. Oh, let me tell you, that day is engraved in my brain. If I was a good artist, I can paint the picture of the setup in the whole thing. So all that made me do, unfortunately, was retreat into silence. I never pushed for it again. I complained to my boss, but I never pushed for it again, So I've got to take some responsibility for the fact that I didn't push the agenda either, But hindsight is a wonderful thing. And that's why I'm saying, even if you did nothing over the last year, you can still now step up and think about how you were going to address that in your organization, because we can't keep clinging to ignorance. It's not good enough by my token. It's not good enough. No, they don't. No. Do you know what I really like? I don't know who this person is that's left me this thing. I love when we have stopped referring to anyone who isn't white as diverse people or minorities, and we're using minoritized, because I'm very specific about that. You never hear me talk about that. And I just love it when I see other people doing the same thing. Like, I love that. Thank you. I don't know who you are. Maybe just tell me your name so I can see. But I love that, because I'm still seeing, if I see one more time, are you stuck looking for diverse hires? Like, who are these bloody diverse? Who are they? Oh, anyway. You'll get used to it. Oh, hi, Mercy. Thank you. It's Mercy. There you go. Thank you, my dear. Thank you. No, listen, we've got to be honest, and it's really easy. And I suppose this is the difference for me, because, I tell you all my good and bad habits, all the things that I'm proud of, but also the things I'm not so proud of. So I never do this from sitting in judgment, so I'm not one of those people that's basically going, you're shit, you're shit, you're shit, you're shit, you're even, that's never been my vibe. That never been my vibe. But we do have to take accountability and responsibility, and I include myself in that. Now, I can't retrospectively correct that. I can only do that here, and apply the pressure and say things that everyone else is very quiet about saying. And that's my way of atoning for the lapses, the continuous lapses of my judgment, and not pushing for lots of different reasons, which I've talked about. But I think it's an important one, Yeah. Do you know what? I have a question for you, and you can tell me what you think about this, actually. So in lots of different guises, so I'm not going to go into the different contexts where this conversation has come up, but I am definitely feeling, or maybe this is just me, because I'm hypersensitive to this, aren't I, because of what I do. But I definitely feel like people are trying to move away from oh, there's too much focus on race, and now let's talk about the other protected characteristics, because it's not fair. Not my word, but it's not fair that we keep talking about this race stuff, because organizations need to also do stuff for protected for people with other protected characteristics. I'm talking in equality talk, but basically everybody else. And I'm still not happy with that, if I'm really honest. I try not to react, like I try and respond and be really fair, but I can't understand how we've been talking about this, which equates to 5 minutes, when this has been an issue for 400 years, and you're tired and fatigued that everybody is talking about race. Remember, talking doesn't equate to action, just to be crystal clear. And now you're wanting to put everybody else back in. Well, is that not where we've been from day one anyway? Well, maybe it's just me. Sometimes I do wonder, because I do care about this a lot. But I just struggle with that, because I don't see us making enough actions. As far as I'm concerned, no, I haven't finished talking about racism yet. I'm not ready to go and move on to anything else, because I'm not seeing we're doing enough, But yeah, tell me if you have an alternative view, and I'll shut up. I'll just, I'll zip it. Yeah. Yeah, it's in comparison, isn't it, David? It is that point about comparison. I think but this is honestly, that's where I am at, and I always know there will always be a tinge of bias to what I do, because I always think it's the most important thing in the whole world, and I know not everybody feels the same way as me, and that's fine. But knowing the backlash that we're getting, about trying to do things in the right way within organizations and in society, and with the government, and and all the issues that we just see what's happening in the US, see what's happening here in the UK. I can't believe we're ready to go and turn our heads to the left and go after something else, turn to the right and go after this. Like we still got a lot of work to do. And partly we are where we are because we haven't focused on it, because we're reluctant to, and. So I just do worry, and just to be clear, I never hear this argument from Black people. So maybe that says everything, doesn't it? Maybe I've answered my own question, haven't I? Yeah. And you know what also happens, Claudette, and I'm very aware of this, like this doesn't happen to me, but for everybody else, if you're trying to push for change internally, and you're saying racism, right, and they're going, yes, so our diversity, I can imagine it, right, our diversity and inclusion agenda, and you're going, what, racism? And they get diversity. After a while, if you're doing that day in and day out, you get tired. So you're probably also going, sorry, let me just change this song, I can't stand this song, this Wayne Wonder song does my head in, right, sorry, can't stand it. So you probably end up saying the same thing, as well. So yeah, I'm just fortunate that I'm outside of that, so I can just carry on, saying the bits that I want to say. Is it gone? I had one wicked Sanchez tune lined up, and look, Sanchez doesn't want to play. He doesn't want to play, Sanchez. Right, hold on. Sorry, because I can't. I need my sweet reggae music. Oh, I know what's happened. Sorry. Look how I'm easily distracted. The second I've got no reggae music, do you see how it completely threw me off? Right. Let me go back to it. Let me go back. What are you saying now? Right, hold on. Let's go. T, honestly, you see how I just stopped? I was like, what's going on? What's Shreen doing? No reggae music. We have to bring it back. Maddie. Do you know what, Maddie? Stuff with lived experiences, allies, right? Because right, I'm biased because I do this for a living. You do need lived experience and professional experience. Just because somebody is Black doesn't mean they have the experience to be able to do this. Let me tell you, right? So you need a combination of both. Now, remember, I've got 17 years of HR experience, so this is not my first rodeo. I'm like T-shaped, you know. The top line of the T, you know, we talk about this in kind of development phrases in HR, but the top bit is my HR. The depth that I have is this, you know, that I do now, and I think it's important. Because even I have to guard my soul, you know, because it is traumatic. These aren't easy conversations to have. And I don't think it's fair that your Black colleagues or minoritized colleagues should be the ones doing all of the work. You know, I genuinely believe that organizations have to step up, you know. I do say this facetiously, but when you think about the amount of money that's wasted on Christmas parties, social drinks and all of the rest of it, keeping the beer swilling and the champagne going, for internal stuff, I'm not talking about because you're serving customers, then are you telling me you cannot create a space and bring in a facilitator to do these conversations properly? I don't buy it. Now it might be a little bit different because of COVID, I get all of that. But, you know, that is important. That is more important than a piss up in a pub. I'm sorry. I maintain that. It is. I'm watch everyone start sliding into my DMs now. They won't like I've said that. I don't care. No. And do you know what? I hate to tell you this, Margaret, but if I had £1 for every time a company kind of semi-engaged me, but the fact that I don't talk about diversity, inclusion and belonging, I'm very specific, so I'm very niche, and I get that. And then they go, oh no, we've appointed somebody else. And when you go and look at who they've appointed, I mean, I don't think you can. I think they're whiter than Snow White in terms of the makeup of the consultants and who does all of this stuff. Unfortunately, we can't account for that. You know, not everybody steps into this with intentionality. You know, and this is why I think we're always going to get that. You know, it's always going to happen. If they're doing that, though, mostly they're just doing it to tick a box. Like, let's be crystal clear. That's why they're doing that. Oh, you're welcome, Maddie. I hope that helped. Do you know what I mean? Listen, with that question that you asked, there's lots of people that have different viewpoints. That's just my personal one, you know, but I stand by it. I stand by that. Right, I'm just going to put, what song is it? Oh, Beres Hammond, right. I'm just going to play this song and then that's me done. As usual, I did promise my family 20 minutes. How long have I been live for? Half an hour. Look at that. I'm over by myself. Let's just play a bit of Beres, because I feel like we need Beres Hammond to uplift our soul a little bit, don't we?
But a man is sitting across the way, and he could hear the things I say. Now he watches from the corner of his eyes. So we move like this,
yeah.
Be so wise. He's standing in my way. Standing in my way.
Yeah, don't worry, Jenny. I knew what you meant. There is always apprehension. Always.
She was more than ready to make the move with me anytime.
Listen, I can't do without it.
Not even thinking of the consequences. No. So I had to think quickly.
Oh, you're very welcome. You're very welcome. Thank you for joining. I do get told off when I do this because I never give any notice. But you know, we've got to live life at the edge, haven't we? So yeah, I'll pop up. I do a pull up. It's my pull up today. It's my pull up.
He wants to spoil my play. He's standing in my way.
Yes.
He's standing in my way. Whoa.
And let's be honest, which HR person do you know is playing reggae music on a live? I love it. But at least with Lovers Rock, I know there's no bad words, because if I start playing some real dancehall, I can't guarantee, you know, and you know you forget. So this is safe music.
this lady soon. I didn't mean to be so unfair.
Yes, Jenny. Yes. I'm just going to leave this for a minute so people can see. This is good. This is good. Yes. Yes, it was to you. You're very welcome. Standing in my way. Standing in my way. Not on my watch. Not on my watch. Standing in my way. That's what one dance can do. Standing in my way. One dance can do. I know you do. I know you do. It's just, it's the bad words. It's the bad words. So I can't, you know. Right, listen, I'm going to say goodbye. Thank you so much. I hope this was a little bit helpful, you know, but at least, you know, there's no way I could not talk about it, even though I have been a little bit out of sorts for the last couple of days because, oh, you know, yeah, I've just been out of sorts. So I just, you know, sometimes this work, you just got to take a minute, you know. So if anybody follows me on Instagram, you see I was having a sing off with Leanne yesterday. Just, I do at the fall. You see, this is my semi-serious place. Instagram is where you see me do all sorts of stuff, all sorts. So yeah, I needed to just recalibrate, but you know, I'm back in the fray. And this issue of unemployment levels within our young Black people is something that needs to be addressed from an industry perspective, not from individuals. Obviously, that's important, but this needs an industry response and industry action that was missing or has been missing for the last 9-10 months. So, you know, hopefully somebody will pay attention. That's all I can hope, isn't it? So listen, you all take care. Please look after yourselves. Please take a minute. I know it's always interesting on LinkedIn, isn't it? It's like a tale of two cities because you have, you know, on one hand, like everybody's blissfully carrying on their, you know, sharing whatever it is they're doing, dogs, cats, you know, office setups and all the rest of it. And then you have many of us Black people, allies, as I like to call us, or, you know, like deeply affected by what's happening in the States, affected by the race report, you know, affected by Black people going missing and the disproportionate attention and support that's I mean, there is so much, and it just feels like there's one after another. So, you know, that's when I just kind of hit my limit. So the last few days I've been on go slow. So yeah, but I'm ready. You know, I'm always here, but I just need to get, you know, take a minute and then I'm back in. So today was my equivalent of being back in. So I don't know when I'll see you next. I've got my next podcast episode dropping on Friday. This is just very quickly, because you know I get very excited. This is a replay, an edited replay of a live I did early in the year when nobody was paying attention. It is one of my favorite conversations. It's with Joel Gozer, and when you listen, you'll explain why it is so timely that I'm dropping this again on Friday. I promise you, with everything that's going on in America. Super timely. Yeah, as I said, it's one of my favorite lives. So I've repurposed it for my podcast and trimmed it because like I could be talking to Joel all day. He's one of those people you just talk to him all day long. But you know, we kept it to a good time. So you'll hear that on Friday, and then yeah, I'll do another pull-up. So you just have to wait until you see me again. All right, you take care, and yeah, I'll be back.